Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we sift through your sources to unearth the most compelling stories and surprising insights.
And today we're really diving into someone quite complex, a major figure, Dr. Mutulu Shakur.
Exactly. Many people know him mainly as Tupac Shakur's stepfather, but wow, his own life story is just this incredible sweep.
It really is. You've got revolutionary activism, pioneering work in healthcare, those long decades of imprisonment.
And it all connects back to this intersection of, well, healing and resistance.
Right. And the sources we have, they're fascinating because they really challenge any simple label you might try to put on him.
They don't just tell us what he did, do they?
No, not at all. They give us a real window into why his path reflects these deeper currents in the Black liberation struggle.
A struggle that went beyond just politics, into healthcare, family.
Community building, all of it, yeah.
So, okay, our mission for this deep dive, let's pull out the key nuggets from his journey.
Understand the context of his actions,
Yeah.
definitely.
And see what lessons, maybe, we can draw from a life that was so dedicated to revolutionary change, but also community service.
It's a powerful story, lots to think about.
It really is.
Oh.
Okay, let's dig in.
So to really get a handle on the man Mutulu Shakur became, you have to go back to his roots.
He was born Jeral Wayne Williams, Baltimore, 1950. Growing up in, well, what the sources describe as pretty harsh urban poverty. How did that early environment shape him?
Well, it's crucial to see that wasn't just like background information, it was foundational.
Right.
The sources really hammer home how those early experiences of systemic inequality shaped his whole understanding of health, of resistance.
It wasn't abstract for him.
Not at all. He saw firsthand how oppression physically and mentally impacted Black communities. That directly informed his later work, in holistic healthcare.
And it was around this time he took the name Mutulu Shakur, brave and thankful in Arabic. That name change wasn't just personal, was it?
No, definitely not. It was a huge cultural and political statement at the time.
Part of a broader movement.
Exactly. Activists adopting African or Arabic names, it was a conscious rejection of what they saw as slave names.
Signaling a kind of rebirth.
Yeah, a spiritual and political evolution.
Right.
Reclaiming identity, severing ties with an oppressive past. It was about self-determination.
And this awareness was growing against a backdrop of major events. Malcolm X's assassination in '65, Mutulu was only 15.
Yeah, imagine. And then the urban rebellions that followed.
It pushed him towards more radical thinking, didn't it? Beyond mainstream civil rights.
For sure. He got drawn to groups like the Black Panther Party, the Republic of New Africa, started reading Fanon, Che Guevara, Mao.
So really looking for answers, for frameworks to understand liberation.
Definitely seeking a deeper analysis.
So by the early 70s, he's deep in the Black Panther Party. We often hear about their politics, but the sources stress their comprehensive approach.
Right. It wasn't just political education. It was practical programs, too. Healthcare, education, community organizing on the ground.
And this is happening right as the FBI's COINTELPRO operations are ramping up. That must have created an intense atmosphere.
Oh, terrifying. The sources paint a picture of, constant paranoia, a state of siege almost.
And the assassinations, like Fred Hampton.
Exactly. Those weren't just isolated incidents. They showed the lethal force the movement was up against. For Mutulu, this wasn't just background noise.
It shaped his whole view.
Absolutely. It solidified his view of the struggle as, an anti-colonial fight against what he saw as an illegitimate government.
Okay, and speaking of those circles, this brings us to his connection with Assata Shakur, also a prominent Panther.
And this relationship brought him into Tupac's life. Tupac was about 5, I think.
Yeah, around that age. What do the sources say about that family environment? It sounds unique.
It really does. Mutulu steps in as this male role model, but one who embodies these revolutionary ideals.
So the household itself was political.
A hub, really. Political discussions, activists coming and going. Tupac got this incredible real-world education and revolutionary thought and practice from day one.
Not just theory, but lived resistance.
Exactly.
And Mutulu specifically introduced Tupac to African history, revolutionary books, global struggles.
Yeah, giving him a perspective that honestly would make his art stand out so much later on.
It's like this hidden curriculum almost that eventually filtered into pop culture through Tupac.
That's a great way to put it.
Now let's talk about something maybe less known, but incredibly significant. His work in community healthcare, specifically acupuncture. Why acupuncture? Seems unusual.
It does, right. But the sources explain his perspective. He saw the heroin epidemic devastating Black communities not just as a social issue.
But is something more sinister?
Yeah, he literally framed it as a form of chemical warfare, an attack designed to pacify people, to break down community structure.
Wow, so treating addiction wasn't just medical, it was political resistance.
Precisely. That's how he saw it. Healing was fighting back.
And he really committed to this. He traveled to China, studied acupuncture, one of the first African Americans to do so.
That's right, and he explicitly viewed this ancient practice as a political tool. For community empowerment, yes, but also as a direct challenge to a medical system he felt failed Black people.
Which leads us directly to the Lincoln Detox Center. South Bronx, mid-70s. This wasn't your average clinic.
No way. Far from it. The sources describe it as truly holistic, groundbreaking.
So more than just needles.
Oh, much more. It integrated acupuncture with political education, job training, community organizing. It wasn't just treating the person, it aimed to heal the community.
That's a fundamental challenge to how healthcare usually works.
Absolutely. It challenged the hierarchies, showed the power of community-controlled alternatives. It was revolutionary in its own right, just redefining what healthcare could even mean.
But as state repression against groups like the Panthers intensified, Mutulu's path shifted again towards more militant organizations.
Right. He gravitated towards groups like the Black Liberation Army, the BLA. This was a clandestine network.
Operating underground. And what did the BLA actually do?
Well, the sources talk about expropriations, which basically means bank robberies, to fund their activities. And also targeting police officers who they saw as agents of state oppression.
So this reflects a real shift in thinking for him, that peaceful means were no longer enough.
Exactly. A conviction that armed struggle was necessary response to what they perceived as state violence.
Living that underground life must have been incredibly demanding. Constant vigilance, assumed identities.
Immense personal sacrifice, always moving between safe houses, strict security. You can only imagine the pressure.
And his medical skills were still needed.
Yeah, critically. Sources say he often treated activists underground, people who couldn't risk going to a regular hospital.
That's quite something, the isolation, the constant risk. Did it make them question the strategy?
The sources suggest it created enormous psychological pressure, forced reflection on whether these underground tactics were truly effective or sustainable.
And this period led to some very dramatic and ultimately tragic events. Let's talk about two key ones.
Okay. First, you have the escape of Assata Shakur from prison in November 1979. Mutulu was involved in planning and carrying that out.
And that was nonviolent, right?
Remarkably, yes. No shots fired, nobody hurt during the escape itself, but it absolutely stunned law enforcement.
Showed the BLA's capability.
Definitely. Their organizational skill and also the deep personal and political bonds. Mutulu and Assata were very close.
Then, almost 2 years later, October 20th, 1981, the Brink's robbery in Nyack, New York.
Right. This was a joint operation with the May 19th Communist Organization, another radical white group. The explicit goal was funding revolutionary activities.
The sources describe it as sort of a combination, but it ended tragically.
Horribly. 3 people were killed. Peter Page, a Brink's guard, and 2 police officers, Edward O'Grady and Waverly Brown.
That had to be a massive turning point.
Huge. The sources really emphasize this. It dramatically intensified the crackdown on radical groups.
And sparked debate within the movement, too, about the ethics of armed struggle.
Absolutely. Deep, intense debates about the effectiveness, the morality, the human cost.
And for Mutulu personally,
it meant the end of his public life. No more Lincoln Detox. No more open activism. He became one of the FBI's most wanted.
Launching him into 5 years as a fugitive.
5 years underground, relying on that network of supporters, always vigilant, using aliases, still providing medical help where he could.
Until February 1986.
That's when it ended. He was captured by the FBI in Los Angeles, one of the longest manhunts finally over.
His trial was in 1988. Convicted of conspiracy, racketeering, sentenced to 60 years. What was his position during the trial?
Well, he maintained his innocence on the specific charges, the robbery and murders, but importantly, he refused to renounce his revolutionary beliefs.
A defiant stance.
Very much so. It was typical of many Black Power activists facing trial challenging the legitimacy of the system itself. It was a statement, even facing that long sentence.
And even decades in federal prison didn't stop his activism, did it?
No, not entirely. The sources show he kept studying, writing, mentoring other prisoners.
Still working within the system, in a way.
Yeah, he even developed programs using his background to address violence and trauma among inmates. His writings also got out, circulated, influencing new generations.
His belief in transformation didn't stop at the prison walls.
It seems not. He continued that work, even under intense restrictions.
And crucially, his connection with Tupac continued. Letters, visits.
Right. That ongoing influence, even from prison, profoundly shaped Tupac's views on resistance, social justice. You hear it all through his music.
It's clear Mutulu emphasized education, political consciousness.
And influenced Tupac to see hip-hop as more than just entertainment, as a tool, right? A vehicle for social commentary.
Tupac often referenced his stepfather's teachings, so Mutulu's ideas, filtered through Tupac, reached millions.
It's an incredible pathway for influence, isn't it? From prison through hip-hop to global awareness.
Despite all the controversy, the legacy in community healthcare, that seems undeniable. Lincoln Detox is a model.
Absolutely. It remains this powerful example of community-based treatment, addressing not just the symptom, the addiction, but the root causes, the social conditions.
That integration of traditional healing and revolutionary politics, does that still resonate?
Well, I think profoundly. It showed you could create healthcare systems focused on both individual well-being and collective empowerment.
Influencing health justice movements today.
Directly. People are still looking for those holistic, community-controlled solutions, not just the standard medical model fixes. He showed it was possible.
And then, after 35 years locked up, he was released, December 2022.
Yeah, finally granted parole at age 72. Primarily because of his deteriorating health, he had advanced bone marrow cancer.
He passed away just months later, July 2023. But he had those last months of freedom.
He did. Time with family, friends. His release, though, short as it was, really reignited the debate about his legacy.
How so?
Well, supporters saw it as the long-overdue freedom of a political prisoner. Critics pointed to the Brink's tragedy, arguing he never fully accounted for the harm caused.
The sources say he spent those last months reflecting, making some public appearances.
Yes, and continuing his work on healing and conflict resolution, even then.
It's clear Mutulu Shakur's life is just incredibly complex, one of the most complicated examples of revolutionary commitment in the U.S.
No doubt. You have the pioneering work at Lincoln Detox, the undeniable influence on Tupac, huge contributions.
Yeah.
And yet the involvement in actions like the Brink's robbery, the tragic consequences, the human cost, that's undeniable too.
The sources are very clear about the deaths of Peter Page, Edward O'Grady, Waverly Brown. Irreparable harm.
Exactly. And no political justification really addresses that loss.
So his story, it really doesn't give us easy answers.
Not at all. It forces you, the listener, to grapple with these huge questions about justice, resistance, what are the right responses to systemic oppression?
There are valuable insights there, maybe warnings too, for movements today.
Definitely. His life challenges us. How do we weigh someone's achievements against the costs, sometimes tragic costs, of their choices?
And how do you reconcile striving for a better world with the means used to get there?
It really reminds you that labels like hero or villain, they often depend heavily on where you stand within the systems of power. It's all about perspective.
A figure who continues to provoke thought, debate, and deep reflection. We hope this deep dive has offered a richer, more nuanced understanding.
Thanks for joining us.